Welcome to Night Ember. I'm Caleb, and tonight we uncover three of the most haunting unsolved mysteries, cases that defy explanation, leaving behind only whispers of truth and endless speculation. Some mysteries refuse to fade with time. They linger, unanswered, shrouded in secrecy, fear, and the eerie absence of closure. Unsolved and Unexplained takes you deep into three such cases, where the questions far outweigh the answers. In 1976, the residents of Circleville, Ohio, began receiving letters. Not love letters, not business correspondence, but anonymous, threatening messages that revealed their darkest secrets. No one was safe. No one knew who was watching. And when one woman fought back, someone tried to silence her forever. It started with a single letter, mailed to a woman named Mary Gillespie, a school bus driver in Circleville. The message? A blunt accusation. She was having an affair with the local school superintendent. The writer warned her to end it or face the consequences. But Mary wasn't the only target. More letters began appearing across town. Each one revealed personal secrets, some true, some fabricated, but all with the same chilling handwriting. The letters were personal, specific. It was clear. The writer knew intimate details about their victims, and when Mary ignored them, the threats turned deadly. On August 19, 1977, Mary's husband, Ron Gillespie, received a phone call. The person on the line seemed to know who the letter writer was. Furious, Ron grabbed his gun and rushed out of the house. But he never came back. His truck was later found crashed into a tree. He was dead. Some believed it was an accident, but there was something odd. His gun had been fired once. At what? Or at who? The town was in fear. No one knew who the writer was or what they wanted. But then a suspect emerged. Paul Freshour, Mary's own brother-in-law. Paul was arrested in 1983 after a booby trap was found on Mary's bus route, a gun rigged to fire at her car. The weapon was linked to Paul. He was convicted and sent to prison for 10 years. But here's the twist. The letters never stopped. Even with Paul behind bars, new letters arrived, postmarked from Columbus, Ohio. And Paul swore he had nothing to do with them. To get a deeper understanding of this case, I spoke with private investigator Mark Reynolds, who spent years examining the Circleville letters. The fact that the letters continued after Paul was in prison raises serious doubts. Either he had an accomplice, or he was never the real writer to begin with. But what about the handwriting? Didn't it match Paul's? Partially. Some experts said it was a match. Others weren't convinced. And remember, handwriting can be forged. Even Paul himself suggested he was being framed. So if Paul wasn't the writer, who was? There's a theory that multiple people were involved, that this wasn't the work of just one person, but rather a small group with different motives. Maybe someone wanted Paul out of the way. Maybe someone had a personal vendetta against Mary. The truth is, we still don't know. There are three prevailing theories about the Circleville letters. Theory 1. Paul Freshour was the sole writer. He had motive, perhaps revenge against Mary for personal reasons. He had access to the booby trap gun. But the letters never stopped even after he was in prison. Theory 2. Mary herself was involved. Some believe she did have an affair and that she wrote some of the letters to cover her tracks. But would she have tried to kill herself with a booby trap? Theory 3. A group effort. Multiple residents, each with different grudges, could have contributed to the letters over time. This would explain why some letters were more personal than others. And then there's this. A final letter sent to investigative journalist Martin Yount in the 1990s. It read, "Forget Circleville, Ohio. If you come, you will suffer. No return address, no fingerprints, just a warning." So, was the Circleville writer still out there, Watching? Waiting? Paul Freshour died in 2012. Mary Gillespie has remained silent. The Circleville letters officially stopped. Or so we think. But what if the writer never left? What if they simply found another way to hide? Just as the people of Circleville lived in fear of an unseen watcher, another case from America's past presents an even deeper enigma. One where the victim had no name, no past, and for decades, no justice. February 25, 1957. A cold winter afternoon in Philadelphia. A man walking through a wooded area stumbles upon a large cardboard box. Inside, the body of a small boy, wrapped in a thin, tattered blanket. No one ever reported him missing. No one came forward to claim him. He was buried in an unmarked grave, known only as the boy in the box, until now. It was a normal day for a local hunter checking his rabbit traps in the Fox Chase area of Philadelphia. But what he found was anything but normal. A cardboard box, once used to package a bassinet. Inside, the fragile body of a young boy, estimated to be around 4 to 6 years old. His hair had been roughly cut. His body was bruised, malnourished. A single surgical scar on his ankle and groin, a clear sign he had once received medical care. But who was he? And why did no one report him missing? Investigators worked tirelessly, chasing every possible lead. But over the decades, two theories gained the most traction. Theory 1, the foster home connection. Not far from where the body was found stood a foster home. Some believe the boy may have lived there and died accidentally, or worse, was killed. Witnesses reported seeing a woman burning bed sheets in a backyard near the discovery site. Could she have been trying to cover something up? Theory 2, the Martha confession. In 2002, a woman known as Martha came forward, claiming the boy was purchased by her mother, abused for years, and eventually killed. She described intimate details, where he was bathed, where he slept, how he was beaten. But when police investigated, the house she described no longer existed, and some of her details didn't align with evidence. Could she have been telling the truth? Or was she simply another voice in a sea of theories? To better understand this case, I spoke with retired investigator David Reynolds, who spent years researching the boy in the box. This case haunted me. Even with modern forensics, we struggled. No records, no missing persons report, no medical files. It was as if he never existed. You were involved in the 2022 DNA breakthrough. What did that discovery reveal? For the first time, we had a name. Joseph Augustus Zarelli. His DNA was traced to a family in Pennsylvania. His birth parents were identified. But what stunned us was their silence. They refused to cooperate with the investigation. No public statements, no claims of innocence, nothing. So, even after finding his name, we still don't know what happened to him? Exactly. Finding his name was just the beginning. The real question is, who hurt him? And why was he discarded like this? Here's where things take a darker turn. Recent reports suggest that not all of Joseph's DNA findings have been made public. Sources close to the investigation hint that additional DNA matches could lead to other relatives, ones that could hold the missing pieces to his story. But authorities remain tight-lipped, citing privacy concerns. What are they hiding? Could these undisclosed connections reveal a bigger, more sinister truth? We now know his name. But what if there's more to his story than what we've been told? If his own family refuses to speak, what are they afraid of? Who else might be out there, knowing exactly what happened to Joseph? The boy in the box was once America's unknown child. Now he has a name. But does he have justice? We are left with disturbing questions. If his parents were alive, why did they never come forward? If there is still undisclosed DNA evidence, what is it hiding? And most importantly, Will we ever know the truth? If the boy in the box is a case defined by the unknown, the lead mask's mystery is one defined by the unexplainable. Science, conspiracy, or something far more sinister. What really happened on that Brazilian hillside? August 20th, 1966. A quiet hill in Brazil. A local boy, herding his sheep, stumbles upon something terrifying. Two men lying motionless on the ground, dressed in formal suits, wearing strange metallic masks over their faces. There were no signs of struggle, no visible wounds, and the only clue? A cryptic note, hinting at a bizarre ritual. More than 5 decades later, the mystery of the lead mask's case remains unsolved. On August 20th, 1966, the bodies of Manuel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel José Viana were discovered on Morro do Vintém, a hill outside Rio de Janeiro. They were both radio technicians, well respected in their town. But what were they doing here, far from home? The crime scene baffled investigators. The men wore matching waterproof coats, their hands folded over their chests. Most disturbingly, each wore a homemade lead mask, similar to protective goggles, but made entirely of metal. There were no signs of trauma, no gunshot wounds, no strangulation marks. The police found no apparent cause of death. However, tucked in one of their pockets, officers found a small note. The translation read, 1630, be at the agreed place. 1830, swallow capsules. After effect, protect metals. Wait for the signal. Capsules? A signal? What were they expecting? Over the years, theories have emerged, each one more bizarre than the last. Theory 1. Were they trying to contact something or someone? Manuel and Miguel were known to be fascinated by extraterrestrials. Some claim they believed in communicating with aliens through radio signals. Could the lead masks have been meant to shield them from some unknown radiation? Theory 2. A scientific experiment gone wrong. Some believe they were testing an advanced energy source or attempting to harness electromagnetic fields. Could their deaths have been the result of an accidental overdose of some unknown chemical? Or was it something darker? Theory 3. An occult ritual. Some researchers suspect they were part of a secret society dabbling in supernatural forces. Their note, the capsules, the masks, it all points to a ritualistic attempt to reach another dimension. To gain further insight, I spoke with Detective Rafael Mendes, a retired investigator who has spent years studying this case. Here's what he had to say. This case, it never sat right with me. The official report lists no cause of death, no signs of violence, no poison detected, at least none that the 1960s technology could identify. The most baffling part, those masks. Why would two men carry lead masks up a hill if they weren't trying to protect themselves from something? Do you believe they were expecting some sort of signal? It's possible. Some locals reported strange lights in the sky that night. UFO enthusiasts have latched onto that. But we need to consider another possibility: radio waves. The men were both technicians. They might have been conducting an experiment, trying to receive or transmit a specific frequency. But if that's true, what exactly were they hoping to hear? One of the biggest questions is about the capsules. What do you think they contained? That's the missing piece. The autopsy results were inconclusive. Some speculate they took a hallucinogenic substance, maybe to enhance some kind of vision or spiritual experience. Others think it was a fatal miscalculation. Perhaps they were poisoned by accident. Without the capsules, we may never know. More than 5 decades have passed, yet we are no closer to the truth. Were Manuel and Miguel attempting to harness some unknown power? Did they fall victim to an elaborate hoax? Or were they simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? The world may never know what really happened on that hill. But one thing is certain. The case of the lead masks remains one of the most chilling and perplexing mysteries in modern history. These cases remain open, not in legal files, but in the minds of those who seek the truth. Will we ever uncover the answers, or are some mysteries meant to stay unsolved? Read on and decide for yourself. And if you love diving into the unknown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next mystery might be even stranger than the last.